everyone, it's Cody here. So as you can see, I'm working on my sugar beet patch here. I'm currently adding some semi-composted grass clippings and rabbit feces. This is just to add nutrients into the soil, and I'll shortly be tilling this in. But what you might have noticed most from the intro clip is the fact that this bush, which was right here, is now gone. I've been wanting to get rid of that for a while. And just like that, this area is now prepped for planting. So here's my sugar beet seeds. I think I'm actually going to hold off on planting these for a little while longer though, because this strip of grass here kind of seems silly to have just a single strip of grass and then a bunch of tilled dirt here. I kind of feel like maybe I should see if I can get this all tilled out. Because you know, when I replace the grass, it's not going to match anyway, so I may as well just cut it all out, but I am going to have to talk to the landlord again. One thing I'd like to mention is the bush that I took out of here. The root system was far shallower than I thought it was. See, initially I thought that the root system would be similar to other junipers that I have taken out, you know, ones up in the mountains. And those, the roots go down 5 feet and you basically make a huge crater if you try to pull it up. But this thing, I guess since it was so well watered and, you know, from the lawn and stuff, the plant sent its roots out just very shallowly. Like, I could have just yanked it right out of the ground and may even have been able to save the plant. So on this one over here, I'm going to try doing just that. I'm going to try just to yank it out of the ground, save as many roots as possible, and see if I can actually save this plant and transplant it. But of course, we're not doing that today. Unfortunately, the time-lapse camera did not capture all of it, but this here is all that's left of that bush after running everything that I could through the chipper shredder. Pan over here, you can see there's my pond and some pipe that's going to be used, as well as the little fittings that are going to go on the buckets. And I have some buckets over here, and they have the chipped material in them. If we go over here, you can see this is that bush. It's been all chipped up. There's a few pieces that are kind of long like this. I guess that's because they went in sideways and the blade sliced them lengthwise. But nothing in here is more than a 1/4 inch thick. So this would compost really quickly. Or, as what I was thinking, or come to a realization here, is I've filled over 30 buckets with chip material from that one bush. That only took me a few hours to do all this. And I think I've got enough sticks that I could potentially fill the rest of my buckets. So instead of using straw or gravel, what if I used wood chips and ground up plant matter? Now this stuff, you know, it'd be pretty stable and it'd be a good growing medium. So I think I'm actually gonna shoot for that. As you can see, I've picked up all the buckets, and right now I'm preparing the ground so I can put in these pieces of poly pipe here. So I'm just kind of cleaning out my original ditch that I had dug, scraping all the weeds up out of there. And I'm then just going to lay the pipe down in there, because I already know that the gradient's fine. Water flows through this, at least it did, so it should flow through the pipe. Gotta get rid of all the weeds. And so you can see the tubing is in place. This is the return line, which is going to go all the way back to the pond, which I'll bring you back over here. As you can see, I've got plenty of sticks to chop up, so I think I'll have plenty of wood chips. There it is, going right to the pond. I'm actually going to drill the hole right into where this label is, so it'll be facing in. It won't be exposed, you won't see the label, just the average person passing by. And I'm actually going to drill the hole about 1/3 of the way up from the bottom of the bucket. And I see right there. That way we store about 1 gallon of water down in the bottom here. So if the pump shuts off or something, the plant will have a little bit of water. On my previous design, I put the hole way up here, but I think that's just way too much. The water stagnates down in the bottom if I do that. So, see, it makes short work of that. So this is what I'm using to go into the side of the bucket. So there's these 1/2-inch screw-in connectors, usually for electrical things. Now these were 25 cents each, which I thought was an amazing deal because you know, this is basically the same thing I had from my other system. You know, it clamps into the bucket, and all I gotta do is take the zinc coating off of there and apply a little bit of rust converter, and we'll be good to go. Well, much to my chagrin, these are not galvanized steel like those other ones were. They are in fact solid zinc, which is kind of a problem because I can't take the zinc off. Now zinc is not a problem in small quantities. In fact, it's an essential nutrient. But in large quantities, it can absolutely kill fish, produce flu-like symptoms in humans, and in extremely large quantities, death. So, what I've done here is I've coated them in an epoxy paint. You can see, this will seal the zinc, holding it in so it doesn't dissolve into the water. And I'm just going to put a dab of silicone on here, like that. Twist in my fitting. Now I'm just going to put on this ring here, like so, and tighten it down with a wrench. Now unfortunately, while putting this on, some of the epoxy came off, and it is just rubber. It's not indestructible, and the zinc is now exposed. And all I'm going to do is just take some of this epoxy rubber spray paint and cover up the spots that has been exposed. Just like that. So I successfully painted up all the exposed zinc. I wound up just using a brush instead of the spray can, but either way works. And so now I need to take some tubing, which I got over here, and connect these bucket spouts into this main line. So a little bit of silicone on here so we don't spring a leak. Just like that. Now to make the hole so that this tube can go into the main pipe. I'm actually going to move that over here. So I'm drilling kind of off to the side. Piece of plastic fell down in there. That's an issue. It's not going to really hurt much. All I got to do is just flush them all out of there when I'm done. Stick that in there. Silicone's probably not needed. I'm going to add a little bit on there anyway, so I don't want it leaking out all my water. So now we need to go focus on this drain pipe, making sure it's sealed. A couple of good gobs of silicone on here, and then we're going to slide these two together, just like this, and I'm going to hold it in place with this tape until the silicone can cure. There might be a better way to seal these joints, but this is just what I've come up with for now. As you can see, I've now installed some black tubing across the top of the buckets, and this is coming from the pond, and I'll be hooking the pump up to it shortly. It's black so algae doesn't grow, and I'm just going to drill a little hole right here. I'm going to put in this little spout, and there we go. There's my dripper. I'll be watering the plant. As you can see, I'm filling the water in through the buckets. That's so I can more easily flush the little pieces of plastic out of the line. You can hear something coming. There's the water. Caught it just in time. And you can see I've added a little trap to catch those bits of plastic. Looks like they came out easy enough. Perfect. I've plugged in the pump and we have water. It's going into every bucket. Excellent. I guess now we can put in the mulch, and that's pretty much all I can do for now, except for this next few weeks I'm going to be putting in more buckets. I do have to let the system cycle for a while to build up the bacteria, you know, so the fish don't kill themselves with the waste. So one more last minute design alteration before I add this stuff in. You see, some of these wood chips are fairly small, which is not really a problem as long as they don't go down into the pond. So to keep that from happening, I've got a piece of window screen here. So I'm just going to roll up into a tube and fold one end over so that the stuff can't get in there. So now I've got a little bit of a sieve. I'm just going to stick this down in to the outlet of the bucket. That way this stuff can't go down into the pipe. So that should be fairly cheap to do. Window screen is cheap. Okay, now we can add in the juniper chips. Just like this. So I am a little worried about them floating, but it looks like the weight of the ones on top will actually hold everything down. Because, you know, the bucket's not going to be full of water. Oh, that looks nice. Let's see. Yep, that's it. Now I can just put my tomato plant right there, and we'll be good to go. Well, there we go. It's far from done, but it is operational. These buckets can grow plants right now. In fact, let's go grab some of those strawberries. So I got 3 of those strawberry plants that I've been meaning to move outside. Let's just put them in here. Don't see anything wrong with this. Wood chips will wick the water to them. Oh, this will be great. I think 3 of these plants per bucket shouldn't be too crowded. Now they'll get some more sun and maybe even start growing berries for me. That's awesome. Alright, so there's the first plants in the aquaponic system. Hopefully in about 2 weeks I'll have another 100 buckets in place and a whole bunch more plants ready to go. So here we are back down at the pond. I'm going to add some dechlorinator to the water because this was tap water and I don't want to kill any bacteria that I start. Alright, so that'll help. I'm also going to throw in a handful of urea. This is just to give something for the bacteria to nom on before I get the fish in. And finally I'm going to inoculate it with a gallon of water from the fish tank inside. So that's my bacteria starter. Hopefully that'll save some time. I'm just going to let this run for about 2 weeks. Make sure everything's fine. I'm going to watch the water level, make sure it doesn't drop too much, because if so it would indicate a leak. And if everything's going good in 2 weeks or so, then I'll add in the fish. Awesome. So this project is well underway. Since that hydroponic project is going to take about 2 weeks before the next update, I think next week I'll just talk about these bees. So you can see I've got another box of bees here. My dad helped me catch a swarm, and I actually have a time-lapse camera going in there, so that'll be interesting to see. You can see over there the flower pot hive is also doing just fine. So that's for next week. I think I'm actually going to change the name of the series to Gardening with Cody instead of Hydroponics with Cody, just to alleviate some confusion, because I do want to add in things like bees and other parts of gardening. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Okay, I must know, what happens if I run a bone through a chipper shredder? It didn't like that. I only made a little bit of bone meal. Well, at least that's what this cheap little electric chipper can do. Interesting. Now I see it fell in sideways. It didn't seem to hurt the blades.